My mother is a dragon. She laid 2 eggs in me. Did I give birth to this? She recognizes the eggs, but not me. No scales, no teeth. What kind of creature is this? It is filthy, get it away. Until she suddenly remembered that she once pursued a 2-legged man. I suppose this really is my cub. My child, wait for mother. Good thing I caught you. My mother's life consisted of nothing but eating and sleeping with all sorts of males. Why does this little thing keep crying? Forget it, I'll take it out for a walk. After flying out of the cave, my mother tried tossing me into the sky. Seeing me fall straight down, she quickly snatched me up. No claws, no teeth. And it can't even fly. What a strange creature. At least it is my own flesh and blood. Though my mother was confused, she knew she couldn't let this little human survive on its own. So she took me flying with her. Sometimes carrying me in her mouth, sometimes balancing me on her head, taking me everywhere she went. Even when she took human form to feast in the mortal world, she never forgot to tuck me under her arm. My lady, what is that you're carrying under your arm? It is a human, I gave birth to it. Only then did my mother realize I had stopped crying. It wasn't because I was asleep, I was starving to death. Regarding what the old woman said about the human needing to be fed every hour, my mother was completely baffled. Can't you just have your wife feed it more? I eat until I'm full once, and I don't need to eat for 60 years. I was wondering why she didn't even know how to nurse a child. Turns out she is just a fool. Before I came along, my mother's dragon life was busy with eating. Second, staying busy sleeping. After I came along, there was one more thing. Staying busy begging for milk. In my mother's eyes, all living things are equal. There is no distinction between high and low, noble or base. So when it came to begging for milk for me, she never limited herself to human milk. Whenever she saw a female with milk, she would just scoop me up and go for it. Fortunately, my mother is a dragon, and there are few creatures in this world who dare to refuse her. My mother carried me around the 3 realms, eating and drinking for a whole year. I grew into a little monster capable of snatching food from a dragon's mouth. My front teeth hadn't even sprouted yet, but all 4 of my canines had already fully grown. These ugly things. Could they be dragon horns? When they first popped out, my mother poked at them for a long time. No bone here, huh? Turns out they were just 2 big bumps from falling. Seeing as I could already gnaw on ribs by myself, my mother figured I should be able to gnaw on small fish too. So she revealed her dragon form, balanced me on her forehead, and dove straight into the ocean. My child, mother is taking you to eat some seafood. My mother swam through the deep sea. While I bobbed on the surface, my mother chased after schools of fish, gobbling them up mouthful after mouthful. I was tossed about by the waves, choking on water mouthful after mouthful. My mother was born with the ability to swim, so the word drowning didn't exist in her vocabulary. By the time she realized I wasn't keeping up, I was already floating belly up on the surface. My child, have you lost your appetite? Why are you sleeping here? She insisted that her cub was dying. According to my mother's recollection, if a beautiful immortal hadn't stopped her back then, she could have reached Yuling Mountain in one breath, and she wouldn't have missed that sumptuous feast and all that wine. Whenever my mother brings it up, her face is full of regret and indignation. That immortal ignored my protests and snatched you away, and pounded your back with a series of heavy blows. She insisted on pounding you until you threw it all up. She said he even poked your ribs hard with his fingers, poking you until you wailed in tears. Oh, it's all my fault for not being able to beat him. That annoying immortal was just too powerful. Hearing the story of how I was beaten until I cried, I finally began to feel angry. So, I joined my mother in cursing that immortal. My mother nodded. and satisfied took me up the mountain to hunt for game. After eating and drinking our fill, the two of us squatted on the mountaintop picking our teeth. A white cloud streaked past right in front of us. With a whoosh, it knocked me right over. I scrambled up and barely steadied myself, but my mother was already standing with her hands on her hips, shouting, "Whose brat is this with no eyes, driving a cloud so fast? Don't you apologize after hitting someone?" The perpetrator naturally gave no response. In a fit of rage, my mother transformed and took off. A dragon's roar pierced the vast sky, and in the blink of an eye, my mother was gone. On that desolate mountaintop, I was the only little shrimp left, lost in the wind. Sigh, this isn't the first time I've been forgotten. I hope mother remembers me sooner this time. But the sky turned dark and bright and dark. I don't know how many times, yet I never saw my mother return. Instead, an immortal with fluttering robes descended from the clouds. He rested his chin in his hand and watched me for a while. The little one is still alive. What a beautiful immortal, more beautiful than all the flowers across the mountains. He must be the flower immortal mother mentioned. Seeing him, that was my very first thought. Amazing. The dragon race doesn't have the habit of raising their young. You've actually managed to survive this long with her. You really were about to starve to death. Why do I save you every time I see you? Little one, do you have some kind of destiny? I had no interest in listening to his rambling. I grabbed his hand and gulped down water from his small jade bottle. Cool, refreshing, and sweet. It tasted wonderful. It didn't just quench my thirst, it also filled my stomach. This must be something truly precious. There wasn't a hint of reluctance in his eyes. Instead, his smile grew even gentler. This person is actually even more generous than my mother. After drinking his water, my energy was fully restored. I immediately started gesturing wildly, describing to him how that immortal had crashed into me while riding the clouds, and the story of my mother giving chase. He crashed into you and then ran away? That is very bad. Your mother hasn't returned. What are your plans? I don't eat garlic. I mean, do you want to stay here and keep waiting? Or do you want to go down the mountain? If I keep waiting, I might starve to death. But if I don't wait, what if my mother comes back? You take me to find my mother. Sigh. You're just a little child. How am I supposed to take you with me? You could carry me in your mouth. I am not your mother. Then I can sit on top of your head. I don't have a head that big. Doesn't that solve it? So that is how it is. Then you can carry me by the scruff or tuck me under your arm. When my mother is in her human form, she either carries me by the scruff or tucks me under her arm. Sigh. Finally, he bent down as if resigned, reached under my arms, and gently lifted me up. I felt that being held like this was much more comfortable than being carried. I couldn't help but lean onto his shoulder, kicking my legs happily. What is this then? Should I call it your good fortune or my bad luck? Little one, stop kicking your feet. I only found out later that this person holding me and searching the world for my mother was actually the Donghua Dijin of the Heavenly Palace. The Dijin lived a reclusive life, and few among the gods of the three realms had ever seen him. Some say he is tens of thousands of years old. Others say he is as old as the heavens and earth. No one knows for sure. There aren't many rumors about Donghua Dijin in the heavens or on earth, mostly just about his age or his combat prowess. Even if there were some gossip, it was nothing more than Dijin is in seclusion lately, or Dijin has gone to Yuling Mountain to lecture on the scriptures. However, that doesn't really count as lecturing, or Dijin has been invited to such and such Dharma assembly, and so on. Until today, Dijin heard a brand new piece of gossip with his own ears. Dijin's wife is missing. Dijin is traveling the world with a little dragon, looking for its mother. Can we stop looking for my mother? No. I'll find you a master. I don't want one. That mountain peak, your mother never returned there. Little one, the dragon race does not have the habit of raising their young. It is perfectly normal for her to have left you behind. You should not dwell on this. I want my mother. I just want my mother. Fine, we'll keep looking. I also want pork ribs. Coming right up, dear customer. The day Dijin took me away from the mountain, he had already cancelled his appointment in the South Sea ladder because we couldn't find my mother. He missed several more Dharma assemblies. For the past 2 years, he has carried me up to the Heavenly Palace and down to the underworld. He has looked into the Brahma mirror and checked the Book of Life and Death, but he simply cannot find a trace of my mother. Donghua. Oh Donghua, you are usually so wise, yet you are so foolish this time. What do you mean? With all the effort you've put into this search, if she were still around, you would have sniffed her out even if she were just a tiny bug. Since there is absolutely no news, she must be hiding in the mortal realm. How could I not understand that logic? But the mortal world is vast. I cannot possibly take her and search every single place. You really are getting old. To have completely forgotten about Lady Yuanji's heavenly fate wells. Ha ha ha. You wouldn't happen to be afraid of being pestered by Yuanji again, would you? So you just don't dare to think of her anymore? Ha ha ha, let's see if you'll beg her now. Thanks to your reminder, I had truly forgotten about those 3 wells. Divine Lord, what 3 wells? They sound like they could help me find my mother. Ha ha ha, ah. Those are the heavenly fate wells of Lady Yuanji. One reveals your past and present lives. One reveals your blood relatives. And as for the 3rd one, it can reveal your destined one you know. What is a destined one? Huh. That is the person who will ride a big horse to marry you when you grow up. Xinyue is becoming more and more improper. She is only a child. Why say such things to her? Can the destined one help me find my mother? Haha, yes, certainly. Haha. There isn't the slightest sign of it opening. The gate, several stories high, is shut tight. Divine Lord, how much longer must we stand here and wait? Rest assured, Lady Yuanji is magnanimous. She will come to open the door in a moment. Hemp, so it isn't your daughter after all. Divine Lord Donghua, it has been over 1,000 years. I thought you had truly become so heartless as to bring your daughter to see me. Where did this little one come from? How old are you? Big sister, I am 5 years old. Huh. Calling me big sister, little one? In terms of age, you should call me an elder. Greetings, ancestor. I actually cannot bear a greeting from her. Why? Although my original form was a carp. By the laws of heaven. I long ago leaped over the dragon gate and joined the dragon clan. In all my years of cultivation, besides a true dragon, who else could suppress me like this? Although I don't know what they are talking about. This little one is a true dragon. A dragon? I quickly waved my hands to deny it. Ancestor, I am a human. My mother is the dragon. Lady Yuanji was struck into a dandelion. While Lady Yuanji went back to her chambers to freshen up, the Emperor carried me to find the Well of Destiny. Wow, I'll be able to find my mother soon. Which well was it again? Mother, which well are you in? Why is there a big tiger in the well? Ha ha ha, our little one was so fierce in her past life. Not bad at all. There is no tiger, and no mother either. There are 2 emperors, one outside and one in the well. In my past life, I was also an emperor. No wonder this mirror could never show my fated person. I thought it was because the emperor was already beyond the 3 realms. But it turns out you simply don't belong to me. Hey, Emperor, why is your face so dark? It is very strange. Ever since we looked into the water mirror at Lady Yuanji's place, the Emperor hasn't smiled at me once. He always keeps a dark face and falls into deep thought. Whenever I look at him, he rubs his temples. Whenever I smile at him, he thumps his own forehead, looking completely devastated. I understood in my heart. I don't blame myself for coming to this conclusion. After all, a year ago, when he was playing chess with Envoy Mingyue also thumped his own forehead like that. He couldn't beat me and was driven mad with anger. So thumping one's forehead means being driven mad with anger. But Emperor, why are you angry? I am not angry. It is nothing. I just haven't felt much like living lately. Why don't you feel like living? Perhaps I've lived too long and grown weary of it. Oh, the Emperor is weary of living. As for the Emperor's half-dead demeanor, I didn't dwell on it for too long. After all, I was about to find my mother. That 3rd well of Lady Yuanji's is truly remarkable. We were able to see exactly where my mother was. She really is living the high life in the mortal realm. She has even got a handsome man in her arms, living quite a carefree and happy life. I couldn't wait to go find her immediately. Once you enter the mortal realm, the higher your cultivation, the more restricted you are. Even he is no exception. He cannot easily use his powers, or he will suffer a backlash. So we had to search on foot. There was no point in rushing. After walking for many days with the Emperor, my legs felt like they were about to break. If he wouldn't carry me on a cloud, that was fine. But couldn't he at least hold me? No. He used to carry me everywhere we went. Ever since we visited the Well of Destiny, I couldn't even touch the hem of his robe. Hemp. Well, I certainly couldn't do that. I ran to grab his sleeve, only to find that no matter how fast or slow I walked, the distance between us remained exactly the same. It was never far enough to lose him, but never close enough to catch him. I gave up. I stopped and started pounding my own head. I was furious. Hemp. I advise you to stop hitting yourself. Why? Your brain isn't fully developed yet. If you end up hitting yourself into a fool, I don't want to become a fool. But my anger hadn't faded at all, so I had a sudden idea. I flopped down onto the ground. If you won't carry me, then I'm not walking anymore. A pair of large hands gently picked me up. I sank into that familiar warmth. It felt so familiar. It was clearly the Emperor's embrace I had long been used to sleeping in. I was so happy. I wanted to shout, I won, but sleep pulled me into total darkness. If you no longer wish to raise her, do not abandon her again. Please send her to Yuling Mountain. There will be someone there to look after her. I am sorry to have troubled you, Saint. However, I must reiterate, I did not abandon my child on purpose back then. I simply, forgot. In my daze, I kept hearing voices in my ears. The voices were very familiar, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. Until I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was my mother, sprawled out sleeping beside me. Ah, mother, 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 mother. I finally found you, mother. I must tell the Emperor this good news, Emperor. Huh? Where is the Emperor? Emperor. Yes, where is he? He left. He seemed to be in quite a hurry. So I didn't ask him to stay for a meal. How could the Emperor have left? I had never imagined the Emperor would leave. Then when will he be back? I don't know. Then when will he be back? But the Emperor was just like mother. Once he left, he forgot to come back. For a long time, I missed the Emperor dearly. I even wanted to go to the Heavenly Palace to find him. I want to go to the Heavenly Palace to find the Emperor, but I couldn't get my mother to take me, because she was obsessed with the mortal world, always looking for delicious food. I have to say, it was quite tasty. As I gradually grew up, I also gradually forgot that time and that person. Hundreds of years passed. By the standards of a dragon's lifespan, this was the first day of my adulthood. Suddenly, I had a splitting headache. I held my forehead with both hands, clearly feeling as if something was trying to break through, but I didn't bump into anything. Hey, it is nothing. Just a couple of big bumps, that is all. What? But I didn't fall. Then you must have bumped into something. It doesn't matter anyway. Let me apply some herbs. That will surely fix it. My mother pulled a bunch of green leaves from who knows where. She mashed them up. She turned them into a paste and pressed it onto my forehead. It is fine. It promotes blood circulation and removes stasis. It is a cure-all. Hey. That can't be right. These herbs work for everyone. Could they have expired? Ah. I understand now. My child, you are about to transform into a dragon. Transform into a deaf one. Am I that sick? Haha. I thought you really didn't inherit any of the dragon's physical traits. I didn't expect it to be hidden so deep. Rest easy, my child. Once your true dragon features fully manifest, you will be able to roam the heavens and earth, just like your mother, and be capable of anything. So it is a dragon, not deaf. Whatever. Mother, before I turn into a real dragon, can you get me some painkillers first? It hurts way too much. My child, that is quite strange. That doctor looks exactly like the beautiful immortal. What beautiful immortal? The Emperor you were looking for. What Emperor? The Emperor who raised you for 2 years. Although he hit you when you first met, he really cared for you afterward. He even told me repeatedly never to abandon you, and if anything happened, to go to Yuling Mountain for help. The Emperor who raised me for 2 years. A vague, flickering figure appeared in my mind. As he walked, the clouds parted and scattered, elegant and poised. I still have a feeling. It seems there was a beauty who always held me, until I fully transformed into a dragon and could change my form at will like my mother. The first thing I did was go find that doctor. I wanted to see the fragmented face that I could never recall, yet always lingered in my mind. Are you here for a consultation or to pick up medicine, miss? What does he look like? He is not even that handsome. Is this really the face that has been haunting me for so long? Are you here to admire Dr. Gu's peerless beauty too, miss? Please take a number and wait in line. Faye, stop joking around. I finally remembered who that person is. Miss Long. It is you, Emperor Donghua. I've told you, our Dr. Gu is named Gu Zichen. He is not some emperor. Why won't you just believe me? Fine, Gu Zichen it is. Where is he? Dr. Gi is out on a house call. He was picked up by the magistrate's sedan chair first thing this morning. The magistrate again? Is everyone in the magistrate's household that sickly? Why is it that every time I come to find him these past few days, he is always at the magistrate's house? Are there really that many patients in the magistrate's family? Sigh. It is just that the magistrate's youngest daughter has taken a liking to our Dr. Gi, so she keeps falling ill like this. Falling ill repeatedly. Oh, Fei. That is a brilliant realization. If you're sick, you get to see the doctor, right? Fei, to be honest with you, I didn't actually come to find Dr. Gu to catch up on old times. Hemp. Then what did you come for? To see a doctor or buy medicine? I observe that Miss Long is quite robust and energetic, and you don't look like someone who is ill. Well, does it have to be me who is sick? Can't my mother be the one who is sick? No, that won't do. Your mother is even more robust than you are. Big. As soon as the lid was lifted, my mother won. In her excitement, she lifted up that burly man standing nearby. Look, if that is not a sign of illness, what is? What kind of normal mother goes around lifting people for fun? Hey! Trying to find Gu Zichen. Stealing a glance. Under the diagnosis column, 3 big words stood out: mentally ill. It seems I really have to seek a consultation. The person I haven't seen for days has actually shown up at my doorstep today. Miss Long, where is your mother? She went out to have some fun. Wait, Your Majesty, hold on. Miss Long, my surname is Gi. I am not the emperor you speak of. Yes, it was a slip of the tongue. Dr. Gi, may I call you Dr. Gi? Since your mother is not here, let's reschedule the consultation. I am the one who is sick. Really, I haven't been feeling well lately. I need Dr. Gi to take a look at me. Is that so? Where do you feel unwell? I feel unwell everywhere. Miss Long, please don't cause any more trouble. What trouble? It is not like I'm not paying the consultation fee. Besides, as a doctor, can you really just stand by and watch me suffer? Sigh. Hehe. Hello, Dr. Gi. Dr. Gi, have some tea. Since you are feeling unwell, let's start by checking your pulse. Oh no, if he finds out I'm faking illness, won't he be angry with me? Although he always says he isn't the emperor. His entire demeanor is no less imposing than an emperor's. His gaze is gentle, yet hides a sense of authority. I have no way to resist it at all. When he exposes my ruse, should I stubbornly stick to my story, or should I honestly confess? This is so difficult. Dr. Gi. What is wrong? Miss Long, just a moment. Wait, aren't you a miracle doctor? Why are you looking things up on the spot? Seeing him like this, he probably won't be able to expose me. But unexpectedly, after finishing the medical book, his expression turned grave. He parted his red lips and delivered a fatal blow. Miss Long, you are not human. We are all respectable people here. Why are you resorting to insults? I pointed at Gu Zichen, filled with righteous indignation. Gu Zichen looked at me, calm as still water. Neither of us had any intention of backing down. Long is a dragon. I was struck with shock. How did he find out? How long have I even been a dragon? My cover is blown already? Go and look. There is a dragon in the moat. It is bigger than this whole street. Don't go, hide quickly. Dragons eat people. She had revealed her true form in the mortal realm when I was young too. It turned everything upside down. This creature is definitely my mother. Ashamed and mortified after sobering up, she made me flee to Qingzhou in the dead of night. I spent 100 years as a neighbor to a bunch of foxes. What is going on this time? I have to go and see. Lady Long, where are you going? I'm going to see my mother. I'm going to see my mother. She loves excitement all the time. It would be bad if you got hurt by the dragon. From far away, I could see my mother thrashing in the river, as if she had lice on her. She stirred the pristine river water into a muddy mess. Most of the nearby trees and crops were ruined. Danger. Actually, true dragons are very upright. Such a massive beast. That is what my mother says. That is the truth. Even if a true dragon has no intention to harm, so what? Getting close to it is dangerous regardless. Stop causing trouble. Go back quickly. Mother. Mother, please leave this place. I waved at her, telling her to leave, but she swayed her body and moved toward me, even attempting to climb onto the bank. She really is drunk out of her mind. Oh no, run. When my mother saw me being dragged away, she seemed to get angry. Suddenly, she took to the air and lunged straight at us. I knew her target was Gu Zichen, but Gu Zichen didn't. In that critical moment, he actually pinned me beneath him. My mother, acting as if she didn't understand, opened her mouth and snatched Gu Zichen right off me, tossing him aside. Gu Zichen was knocked unconscious on the spot. Oh no. Mother, please get a grip. This is the mortal realm. Stop causing such a scene. For all you know, your beloved Master Zhang is watching you right now. Stop looking for him and hurry up and hide. The massive dragon suddenly forgot how to fly. She scrambled quickly into the moat and never showed her face again. He is so fragile. Fortunately, his injuries aren't severe. A few doses of medicine and plenty of rest should do the trick. Could he really not be the Emperor? But aside from lacking that celestial aura, he is exactly like the Emperor in every way. But it doesn't matter. Whoever he is, it is fine, as long as he is happy. Miss Dragon, run. Miss Dragon, run. It is all because of me that he is involved. He doesn't even resent me. And yet he is still thinking of me. What a truly wonderful person. It turned out to be the prefect's youngest daughter. I want to see Master Gu. Miss Dr. Gu is not receiving visitors right now. I hope you can understand. It is all right, Afei. My mistress is only here to check on Master Gu. She won't disturb his rest. Hey, don't go in there. Master Gu. Pink clothes, pink skirt, pink flushed cheeks. What a beautiful young lady. Don't you think? You're the woman who provoked that fallen dragon. Master Gu was only injured by the dragon because he was saving you. That is correct. I'm just feeling guilty about it. Don't get too smug. Do you think that just because Master Gu saved you, he likes you, and that he'll marry you? Delusional. What are you talking about? Why would he like me? Why would he marry me? I never asked him to like me, nor did I ask him to marry me. Do you truly not want to marry Master Gu? All this time, though I've been pestering Gu Zichen every day, and my head is full of Gu Zichen, I honestly haven't thought about that question. Dr. Gu is awake. Huh. Dr. Gi. Why is your face so dark? Weren't you deathly pale just a moment ago? Afei, show them out. Wait for me. How could you be like this? The young lady in pink burst into tears on the spot and left covering her face. Oh, miss. Dr. Gi. And then I was shut out for 3 days straight. Dr. Gu has gone out on house calls. Men, for the most part, need to be coaxed. Next time you go to see him, don't go empty-handed. Bring along some things he likes, once he is happy. Never mind just meeting him. Even a kiss wouldn't be a problem. Mother, that makes sense. Go figure it out yourself, my child. Mother is off to hear Master Meng sing. Isn't it Master Zhang? Master Zhang is for tomorrow. I've learned my lesson. Afei, do you know what Gu Zichen usually likes? What does he want? Dr. Gu has always wanted to go to Sword Peak Mountain to dig for wild ginseng, but the terrain is steep and it is very hard to climb. Wild ginseng. Miss Long, if you have feelings for Dr. Gu, you had better hurry. What do you mean? The prefect seems unable to say no to that young lady. A couple of days ago, ignoring social standing, he actually sent someone to ask for Dr. Gu's birth date. So, that Miss Fen is going to marry Dr. Gi. No. If the prefect really proposes, Dr. Giyu will definitely refuse. I'm just afraid that by then he'll have offended the prefect and won't have a peaceful day left. Are you sure Dr. Gu will refuse? Of course, I've been with him for so many years, and I've never seen him take an interest in women. The only exception was the first time he saw you. That look in his eyes was so intense, like a young boy experiencing his first crush. But then you kept calling him Emperor, over and over, and you completely crushed that budding feeling of his. Jianfeng Mountain is just as its name suggests, like a sharp precious sword, piercing straight into the clouds. For the person I used to be, it might have been hard to climb, but now, I'm stuck in the tree branches, in my dragon form. Oh mother, why can't I move freely after turning into a dragon? After struggling to no avail, I tried to change back to human form, but that didn't work either. Perhaps it is because this mountain is extremely steep and dangerous. I, a dragon, have been stuck here for a day and a night, and yet no one has discovered me. Slowly, my consciousness as a human began to fade. I think I've forgotten that I used to be human. Just as I was trying to open my mouth to bite a passing rabbit. Miss Long. I'm here. This mountain must be strange. There seems to be some force on the mountain pulling at me. The dragon traits within me are going wild. I can barely suppress them. Miss Long. Dr. G. Miss Long, don't be afraid, I'm here. It is all my fault. I shouldn't have refused to see you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come to a place like this. Dragon scales? I heard from my ancestors that this mountain forces supernatural beings to reveal their true form, and it disrupts their energy. But it is okay. As long as you get far enough away, you'll recover on your own. Miss Dragon. Dr. Gi. Aren't you afraid? I'll just take you back down. I'm not human. Your pulse told me that long ago. The first time I saw you, I just thought, such a beautiful and spirited girl, must not belong to the mortal world, although I've never seen other spirits. but I've become ugly now. You're not ugly. But someone like you must be the most beautiful of all. It is fine. What a pity. If only I had managed to dig up some wild ginseng. I have enough wild ginseng in my shop to last a long time. That is not the same. My mother said, if I give you a gift, you'll be so happy that you'll not only meet with me, but you'll also kiss me. Dr. Gu. Why is your face so red? Miss Dragon, don't say such things. Is that wrong if I give you the ginseng? Won't you? You don't have to give me anything. He smells so good. When my mother found out I was going to marry Gu Zichen, she looked very confused. I am going to marry Gu Zichen. Marry him. Doesn't that mean you'll only be able to be with him from now on? Yes. Then what will you do if you meet a better-looking male? What if you like 3 males at the same time? Mother, I only want him. My mother looked at me as if I were a fool. On the day of the wedding, Gu Zichen rode a tall white horse, approaching slowly. He wore a red robe with an extraordinary presence. The crowds cheered as he passed. I hid my face behind a fan and climbed into the bridal sedan with excitement. The bride is here. The sedan was set down, the curtain was lifted, a hand reached in. With elegant, well-defined fingers. Life is short, but it doesn't matter, I will walk the rest of the way with him. It's truly strange. The Emperor Donghua, who is as eternal as heaven and earth, has recently started looking for a successor, for a deity of his stature. There are very few left in the world. How could it be easy to find a successor? The Emperor's divine duties are not something an ordinary person can shoulder. I thought he was just acting on a whim, but I never expected him to spend hundreds of years working diligently at it, only to actually find one. Why are you giving up your position as Emperor? Don't want to do it anymore. I likely misheard him. A deity who has lived a life without desire or craving, calm and indifferent, now has emotions. I'm tired of it. Then what do you plan to do after you abdicate? Ascend. I spat out the tea I was drinking. I thought I had misheard him again. I suppose I'm just tired of living. Donghua was not joking. I entrust these to you. He was preparing for his ascension with great seriousness. He was truly going to leave, though at his age, and with his level of cultivation, it would be strange if he hadn't seen through life and death, but I just couldn't understand it. Nothing had happened that would warrant him choosing to ascend. It wasn't until I met Lady Yuanji that we compared our timelines and finally figured out the situation. Fated connections cannot be broken. He is trying to escape his romantic fate. Mortal attachments are so troublesome that they actually made Donghua decide to return to nothingness. In an endless life, isn't it a blessing to have someone to walk through it with? Oh my. We weren't quite at the level to calmly watch him fade away. So, before he could complete his tribulation, we beat him to it. Together, we cast a spell to send his primordial spirit into the mortal realm. The mortal world is vast. Whether he would end up in the same lifetime as the young girl was left to fate, whether he would meet the young girl was left to fate, and whether the two of them could actually weave a love story that was left even more to fate. Years later, Donhua's physical body regained its consciousness. I knew the one in the grave had already reached his end. All these years I had been prepared to be scolded or punished by him, but when he opened his eyes he didn't even glance at me before heading down to the mortal realm. Why go back down? The predestined love is fulfilled. From now on, the two of them are no longer bound by fate. To pick up my wife. My husband was buried in the morning, and he returned by the afternoon. My tears of mourning hadn't even dried yet. Zichen, is it really you? Longer. Gu Zichen, you scared me to death. I thought I would never see you again. Longer, I'm back. We will never be separated again. Donghua, I apologize. We were simply too curious, so we couldn't help but follow. We didn't mean to spy on you. Donghua, he called you Donghua. You are Emperor Donghua, aren't you? I am. Then when I called you Emperor Donghua, why did you always refuse to admit it? Longer, that is a long story. In any case, at that time I was truly just Gu Zichen. I looked at him, his eyes filled with such caution, as if he were terrified that I might be angry about this. Just like all the years I've been married to him, he could never bear to see me frown, so he was always patiently coaxing me. With a man like this, how could I ever bear to let him worry? I'm not angry. You can call yourself whatever you like. No matter what you call yourself, you're still mine anyway. My child, do not be sad. Mother has found some quite excellent men for you. They are every bit as good as that husband of yours who went away. Son-in-law, weren't you already buried? Mother-in-law, I have returned. There is no need for you to trouble yourself arranging things for longer. He has never agreed with my mother's views on romance. He is terrified that I might be influenced by her. He has always been very guarded against my mother. Hump, never mind then. Saves me the trouble. Oh. There is a beautiful woman here. She looks a bit familiar. Your humble servant Yuanji pays respects to the true dragon. You are the moon envoy of Yuling Mountain, aren't you? I once saw you at a celestial banquet. In response to the true dragon, that is indeed me. Such a wonderful banquet, held only once every 800 years. It is truly frustrating. Since the true dragon has suggested it, I shall issue the order immediately. This time the grand feast will be organized as quickly as possible. Good. Oh. Once my mother was happy, she became very close and fond of the moon envoy. This child is truly wonderful. I remember you now, little Yuanji. Have you been doing well in the heavenly realm all these years? Yuanji is unworthy of such concern. Everything is thanks to the protection of the true dragon. Think nothing of it. Think nothing of it. My mother waved her hand, and left in a grand procession with a group of handsome men. I do not know how long it will be before she thinks of me again after this departure. Mother Gu Zichen is Emperor Donghua. You were not mistaken. Understood.